I want to talk about LinkedIn. I have been using LinkedIn for over 20 years. I was an early adopter in 2003 when I was a corporate professional, and I used it as a corporate professional, as an executive recruiter when I opened up Mile Walk in 2004. I've been using it heavily as an executive recruiter to identify job candidates, and as a career coach over the last decade, I've also been helping people on how to use the platform to better build their brand and get noticed by employers. And I see people making tons of mistakes as far as how they're using the platform, as well as they're wondering why they're not getting noticed. And so one of the things we're going to do today is I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to use the platform effectively. I've got a couple of bonus tips in there. So I want to just give you an idea of some of the key features that you've got to get right. Now, one other thing that I want you to know about why this is so important. I know that a lot of you that are here with me right now are job searching, and it's important for you to be building your network so that people can help you either introduce you to new opportunities, or maybe you want to get noticed by recruiters or potential hiring officials. And I know that that's important. But one of the things that you might not know is over those years as an executive recruiter, from let's say 2005 up until probably about 2019, we had interviewed, Mile Walk, my executive search firm, had interviewed a lot of job candidates, whether we talked to them for 20 minutes or whether we presented them to our clients. And every single person that we talked to, and we had gathered more than 12,000 data points. We probably had closer to nearly 16,000 data points. But of the 12,000 data points, we would ask individuals, how did you find your most recent job? How did you find your previous job and your previous job? Not what made you change jobs, but how did you find that job? What was the medium by which you were able to get that job? And 1,000 of the 12,000, so 8%, said, I was contacted by somebody on LinkedIn. That's whether I was looking or not. And they ultimately, I got engaged with them and they gave me a job. So 8% of people minding their own business were contacted by someone who gave them a job. Now, I've given you statistics about the ATS, what I call the applicant trashing system, where we've run surveys over that 15-year stretch between 05 and 19, where we would survey thousands of hiring officials, people in HR, as well as recruiters, and we would ask them about a number of different things related to the people they recruited, how many candidates they interviewed, and so on. And one of the things we asked them was how many of their individuals they hired came through their career portal, the ATS, which I call the applicant trashing system. Other people call it the applicant tracking system. But the round number, the statistic was, we view about 3% of the candidates that basically put their information into this system. So you've got a 3% chance of being seen. That's not hired, being seen, if you're putting your resume into the applicant tracking system. And I would tell you, you've got about an 8% chance of being found by minding your own business and doing nothing if you have a good LinkedIn profile and brand setup. Okay, do you understand? That is an absolute gut punch right there. Because when you think about those odds, how many more times do you have getting noticed on LinkedIn than all that hard work that you're doing, spending all that time trying to put your resume and your cover letters and your information and your work history and your salary expectations and all of that information into an employer's corporate portal? So I want you to understand the level of importance of having a good LinkedIn profile. Now, one of the things that I would say, this is part 0, is I have what I call the triangle. I just called it a triangle. You could call it, Andy's 3-pronged attempt. But I don't hear a lot. Actually, I haven't heard anybody talk about LinkedIn in this manner. There's a lot of good LinkedIn instruction out there, and there are a lot of good career coaches and LinkedIn coaches who talk about how to use the platform. So I'm not saying that, but I'm trying to give you different ways to have it register with you of what I think is the right formula to be successful on LinkedIn. And I look at it as a 3-pronged approach. There's static information. That's things like your profile, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes. But basically, you set the stuff up once. You set it up once, boop, I got a headshot from I don't know when. You could tell it has a little less gray hair in it, but you know what I mean? You put the picture up, maybe you put your headline up, you fill in your companies and your roles, but you're not tinkering with that a lot, right? It's fairly static. Then you've got dynamic information or dynamic activity, stuff that does change. Maybe you're posting, maybe you're writing articles, maybe you're commenting on people's activity, right? Dynamic. So you're using the system to let the system know I'm an active engager of this. I'm responding, I'm contributing. Maybe some of you are top voices. I'm not a top voice because I don't take any time to comment on the daily inquiry I get from LinkedIn that says, would you please comment on this? So I just don't have the time. But some of you do. I love it. If you want to get to be a top voice, fantastic. Do that. And then there's a tracking mechanism. So how do I use the tool to set it up so that I'm being fed information and I can actually have the information that I want to see? Now, one of the things that we're going to do today is I'm actually going to pull up my LinkedIn profile and I'm going to talk with you about how I would use the platform. But there's key things that I want to drive home as they relate to the static portion of what I think is an effective way for you to set up your profile, to give yourself an opportunity to be found by the people you would like to be found, right? That you would like to find you. And I'm going to give you some bonuses on the tracking. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, tip number 1, and some of this, I'm not expecting to blow you away today. I want to bring some things to the forefront of your mind and talk philosophically about why I want you to do this. Okay, first thing is your dang billboard, people. Dang billboard. What's the billboard? What's your 1-second test when somebody is trying to find you on LinkedIn? What do they see? They see your headline, they see your cover photo, and they see your face, right? And so I'm telling you that while you think, well, I'm just not going to put a lot of effort into doing this and I'm going to leave a blank photo as my cover and I don't really care about what the picture looks like and is the headline really important, I'm telling you that this is your chance to make a first impression. And let's just say, sake of argument, that none of this stuff, which this is not true, but none of this stuff matters to you being found. If somebody clicks on your profile, what do you want them to see? I had to obsess over my book cover because people judge a book by its cover. I'm sorry, that's life, right? They do. Yeah, I'd love for you to flip open the zebra code and start reading the first few pages, but you just don't have that kind of time. And even if you did, you'd already drawn a conclusion from the cover, right? Who's tracking with me? Do you understand that this thing here, the face, the smiley face, you do not need a professional headshot. You do not. You need a selfie. I don't care if you go like this, snap. Just be looking at the camera. Let them see your face. Let them see your face. If you want to have a background, that's fine. If you don't want to have a background, that's fine. Dark, shaded, I think mine's gray. Yours could be white. It doesn't really matter, but I think that you need to be looking straight at the camera so they can identify. You say, hey, hello, it's me. Welcome to my page. Welcome to my profile. You are going to love meeting me. Kind of thing. And people will draw conclusions. And remember, those that are searching on LinkedIn, they have a scroll down of little faces, right? That's what they see. And they see your headline in a search retrieval. So it really does matter. And it does make a great impression if you have a shot that is of your face where they can see it. Don't be wearing sunglasses. Don't be hiding behind your dog's face, that kind of stuff. The billboard back here, this part, the cover photo, I think it's helpful to have something thematic. And it's okay if you don't, but have something. And if you're going to say, well, Andy, I just want to have something generic, then have something that goes with the color of your skin or your eyes or your hair or something that just makes you look better. And then the third thing is the headline. This does really matter. it should give them an idea of who you are and what value you contribute. And yes, I would think about keywords. What would be people be searching for? Now, if you go to my LinkedIn profile and it says, I help make this world a better place one career at a time, that's because that's what I do. And it's okay. I'm a business owner and I'm not obsessed with people finding me on LinkedIn. That isn't what makes me sales. It isn't what lets me help you build a great career. But for you as a job seeker who wants to be found, I want you to give yourself every advantage that you can. So that's number one. Okay, that's the first thing. Number two, I would like to thank my career coach friend, Sarah Johnston. If you do not know her, you should. She is a LinkedIn queen, among other things, and she's an executive resume writer. I think she coaches on interview coaching as well. I just love her, and she actually even endorsed the Zebra Code book. I gave her an advance copy. She was nice enough to review it, give me her feedback, give me a quote. So I'm forever grateful for her. But she is a fantastic coach. And one of the things I love about her newsletter, if you're not on it, I would subscribe. It's briefcasecoach.com, I think is her URL. She's easy to find. She's probably got like 1 million followers on LinkedIn. I love her newsletter every other week or so. I think it's about every other Wednesday or something like that. She puts out a newsletter. And one of the things I love about her newsletter is I can always count on there's some data in there. And one of the things that she did back in January, or let's call it maybe toward the end of the year, where she ended 2023 into 2024, is she did a LinkedIn survey. There was about 5,000 respondents. And I'm going to give you some stats that I lifted from her newsletter, from the data that she curated. And one of the things she said about summaries, LinkedIn about summaries, is that 85% of people read the first line. 32%, so let's call it a third, actually read the whole summary. And 56%, so over half, liked reading about fun facts in the profile. Now, those of you that go to the Andy School of Resume Writing and those of you that go to the Andy School of LinkedIn Workshopping, you know that I want you to put your high-value ads up in the summary. I want you you get a chance to control the narrative of what people are reading in your LinkedIn profile. The corporations that you worked for and the jobs that you held, you have some limitations because you worked for who you worked for and you did what you did and you contributed the value that you contributed, and I want you to put that in the experience section. But in the summary section, not only do you have a chance to control the story about you, get people to read and understand you in a manner you want them to, not their interpretation, but spoon feed them, much like I say to you about the career profile, which is at the top of the resume. But the other thing is, this gives you a chance to show some personality. She said 56% like the fun facts. I like fun facts when I read that, right? You always hear me say, well, don't put hobbies and this other stuff on your resume. Well, the LinkedIn About summary, you can toss some of that in there, right? So have some fun with this. I believe she also said, I don't have actually, hang on, I might even have it. No, I don't have it in front of me. But I think something like over 85, or maybe not, 80 some odd percent liked reading it in first person. So mine is not in first person because I want it to be found by Mr. Google. That's another thing about the summary. Google likes your LinkedIn summary. It actually does. I've tested this on mine and others. So think about the keywords you're putting in. Think about the story you're telling. This is some place for you to actually spend some time. I'd probably spend the most time in the summary section of my LinkedIn profile, getting it just right. Okay, so that's number two. We'll give Sarah a shout out. Go follow her. And if you do, say Andy LaCivita told me you're the bomb. Okay, next thing. Don't make me start singing the Carly Simon song, You're So Vain. Who, show of hands, it's okay because this is a safe place, does not have a LinkedIn vanity URL? Do you know what I'm talking about when I say vanity URL? Let's take a peek. This is Andy's page. Hopefully, Andy, I try to get rid of all the pops and the bells. You can see my face. You can see my headline, right? I got in there, career and leadership coach. I verified myself, so you know I'm not a nut. The Zebra Code is what we're pushing right now because it's awesome and you should have a copy. But over here up in the right, what does that say? Andrew LaCivita. Are you Jane Doe? Right? Are you Jane Susie Doe? Or something like that. I would give yourself a vanity URL because number one, it looks better. Number two, the search, Google will like it better, right? Anybody who's Googling you, this URL comes up way at the top when you Google me. All right, now, I understand that some of you might have similar names to other people, but it just simply looks better. And I know a lot of you like to put your LinkedIn URL in your resume. That's cool. I'm good with that, right? That's no problem. It just looks better when you have a vanity URL, and it's just simple. You just go up, you click the little icon, this pops up, and you're able to edit that. So I just want you to, again, it's showing that you care about what's inside the profile and the way in which you're presenting yourself when somebody actually finds you. So make it purty. All right, next thing, skills. Now, the skills, you have an opportunity to put like 50 skills in your profile. You probably know this, but you can pick a handful and put them up at the top. So when you want to pick out skills, now mine's a little different because I provide services, but up at the top in the About section, there's top skills. You see this right here, right? Executive coaching, leadership coaching, virtual mentor, publish offer, and so on. I put up what I wanted people to see immediately when they get to my profile. You might have different ones which call out the skills of what you're a subject matter expert of. But the most important thing to know about when you get these skills is that they need to be endorsed. I think they need to be endorsed by a minimum of 5 people for them to truly count in the search. And once you're endorsed by a handful of people for a particular skill, it will count when somebody is searching for those skills on LinkedIn, when they're using LinkedIn's search features. So just make sure that you're doing that, number 4. Number 5 is, I would also say, kind of that as seen in. You know, you see how people say a lot of as seen in Wall Street Journal, as seen in Forbes, blah, blah, blah. Well, you can have your own as seen in the features section. Do not blow this off. And the one big mistake that I see people making, because I get this comment a lot, is, well, Andy, I don't really have anything that I'm featured in or anything that I've done. And that I'm going to call BS on that, because all of you have created valuable things in your life. Are you a project manager? Do you have a project management methodology that you have curated, massaged, used to run? Do you have a standard 90-day plan that you do to start up a sales team? Anything that you've created, anywhere that you've been cited, any article that you've written on LinkedIn, go write one. Write mine. Let's see. I was in a couple of those LinkedIn programs, the Career Talks. Andrew Seaman and I did a couple together where I was his guest. I have a newsletter. You all can have a LinkedIn newsletter. You can pop it up there. I have a website. If you're a freelancer, maybe you have a website. I already mentioned I have a Zebra Code book club. You can click this and learn more about it, kind of thing. But you could have anything, and don't worry about, well, is somebody going to steal my work? Sanitize it. Who cares? They're not you. I could give other career coaches the blueprint for actually running a successful career coaching business, but that's not going to make any difference. They still actually have to execute it. So it's more important for you to showcase what you know, but it's another opportunity for you to put keywords in. It's an ability for you to say, this is my work. Look how awesome this is. Look how generous I am. I believe in abundance. Here again, the abundance thing, we're talking more about this tomorrow. But do not blow this off. Max it out. Take advantage. This matters. Not to mention, the featured stuff can be circulated on LinkedIn. You could forward that. You could share it. When you create a long form post, it's going to go on your profile. It's going to stay on your newsletter, of which all of you can do, right? And it gives you a chance to circulate something. All right, wait, those are 5. and I know I promised 5, but you know I have 9 semesters of higher math as an electrical engineering undergraduate student. I earned my bachelor's in that, and I still don't know how to count, right? Because I got some more tips. There's a few things I want to show you. So those 5 that I just called out, which were really more like 10, those are key static elements. Now I didn't go through the rest of the profile, and there's a lot more to it. But to me, those are 5 that are going to give you a really good bang for the buck. So if you are enjoying this, make sure to click the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Let's go into the bonus round. Okay. So number 1, for those of you that go to the Andy School of Job Search Challenging, where you're targeting bosses and you're targeting companies and you're targeting recruiters and teammates and HR people and all kinds of folks who can actually give you a job, not like the ATS, not like the applicant trashing system. One of the things that I want to know is, and you can go in the chat and give me the high sign or whatever. Are you following everybody you reach out to? The follow feature is your best friend. What do I mean? Andy, you tell me to send 3 messages a day to people. Emailing bosses, emailing teammates, emailing your connections, trying to get somebody to connect with who can get you into a role. I want you to do that. But every single time you send a message, you should go over to LinkedIn and click the follow button on their profile to see what they're doing, what they're sharing, so that you can monitor them. So that's one tip, and that will put their posts in your feed. And if they're active, you're going to find out a lot of information about them and what they're doing. Now, one other little bonus tip I want to give you, which I think is pretty sweet, I saved this one for last, is I want you to deliberately monitor stuff. So what a lot of you do is you search for jobs and you do all this stuff that is agonizing. And so one of the things that I want to show you is and this is just an example, but you can do this to your heart's content, but you're going to set these searches up once and you're going to let them run. So I want you to, let's say you're job searching, right? You go to the search bar, you hit the search bar, up pops this array of stuff. I want you to go to posts, click posts. What are you looking for? I'm looking for jobs. Let's just take the past week. I'm looking for jobs, posts about jobs. Who do I want to find? Well, what companies am I following? Are you following Apple? I don't know. Do you want to go work for Apple? Do you want to go work for Google? Let's just take those. Show me the results. And then what happens is you're going to get posts of people who are talking about jobs at companies that you want to work for. And then what you can do is look for, okay, so Stephanie Ang is hiring. Okay, great. Hey there, I'm on the lookout for. All right, somebody's looking for work. You want to find people who, are hiring, are alerting you about hiring, are alerting you about jobs, just took a new job, and so on. What you can do is you can build your own company follow list with simple search terms on LinkedIn, and you can just let this run and come here and just refresh it. So that's another one where you should be setting up the monitoring aspects of what you're doing. So when going back to the triangle here, there's the static information that we talked about, kind of those. There's a lot more that I'm gonna be teaching in my LinkedIn workshop, but to give you a taste, that's the kind of stuff that you should be thinking about. There's the dynamic stuff, which we didn't really get into, how you post, how you comment, how you do all those other things, create articles and things of that nature that are going to show the system that you have activity. And then there's the tracking. So I just gave you an example or two of how to track, right? You could follow people. That's great. You could set up filters so that LinkedIn is basically giving you reports of sorts. And so those to me are 7 really good tips. Let's recap them. Make sure your billboard is in order. It matters. It says a lot about you. Remember, Sarah's got these great stats that she pulled together from 5,000 people, but I have always and long thought that the summary is probably the second most important stuff after the billboard. And then the third element is vanity URL. That's very simple. You got skills. Make sure you're getting endorsements so that you can put your top skills at the top of your profile and that the search engine will love it. Make sure you take advantage of the features and then put those reports together so that you are more passively tracking what's going on. All right. If you enjoyed that, click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. I've got a lot more coming up. April, depending on when you're watching this, April 30th, May 1st, and May 2nd, in a LinkedIn workshop that I'm going to be doing. You can check that out on the Mile Walk Academy site. If you're here with me live, we're going to the chat. If you're watching me on the recording, I will see you next week.